In the months leading up to the release of The Acolyte, it was crystal clear that Star Wars fans were very worried about what this show would be, based off what they heard in the marketing, based off the person who was in charge, Leslie Headland, former Harvey Weinstein personal assistant, and someone who admittedly said that this show was going to be all about her experiences as a queer person. That's what she wanted to turn Star Wars into. After all these interviews from the cast talking about essentially everything but Star Wars itself, Star Wars fans were worried. Then the trailer came out, got obliterated, ratioed, the first time in Star Wars history. Well, now the show is finally out, and fans have made their voices very, very clear. A 26% audience score, the lowest audience score in the history of Star Wars. And predictably, we saw the damage control early on, Leslie Headland saying, well, if you don't like this show, you're probably just a racist bigot and you're not really a Star Wars fan. Kathleen Kennedy blaming a toxic fan base for backlash. You knew they knew it was probably going to be a disaster. That's exactly what it was. And the media has tried to cover for them all along the way. From the very first moment that this was announced, the media has been running cover for Disney over The Acolyte. And including when fans voiced their opinions about this piece of shit, we predictably saw all of the same headlines. The Acolyte review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. The Acolyte gets review bombed, set an unfortunate Star Wars record. Like clockwork, annoying fans review bombed The Acolyte. The Acolyte's backlash and review bombing. What's really going on? And in a lot of these, they said, trust us. Disney told us these numbers are incredible. It's actually a smash hit. We promise. Despite the negative reviews, Disney reports The Acolyte has been a success with 4.8 million views on the first day of release. Well, as I pointed out multiple times, Disney was trying to cover for themselves, trying to pretend like it was a success, but now they can no longer hide it. We got the facts, we got the news that not only is The Acolyte the worst rated program in the history of Star Wars by fans, but it also has the lowest viewership of any Star Wars Disney Plus show ever. Worse than anything we'd seen in Mandalorian Season 3, worse than Book of Boba Fett, even worse than something like Andor and Ahsoka. Ahsoka, which up to this point had been the biggest ratings loser for a show. Well, now there's a new crown. There's a new queen, and that's Leslie Headland. The Acolyte reaches 11 million views in 5 days, nearly 3 million short of the Ahsoka debut. So now you have to change the conversation once again, right? Because the review bombing aspect didn't work. You tried to say it was a hit. That didn't work. Now you're going with the old tactic of once again just directly blaming fans. No one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans. Some Star Wars fans are making up reasons not to watch The Acolyte, most of which are based on pretty much total projection. You don't have to watch if you don't want to. Seriously, cancel your Disney Plus subscription if you care so much. Guess what? That might be exactly what they're fucking doing based off these numbers that we just got. The worst performing Star Wars show in history. The most hated Star Wars show in history. All of these things. And the idea that no one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans, yeah, that's true. Do you know why? Because only if you're a fan do you actually care about something. Why would somebody who doesn't give two shits about something care one way or the other? They wouldn't love something, they wouldn't hate something. The reason you have these feelings is because you actually care about it. Unlike a lot of these pedestrians, unlike a lot of these people that just float, fandom to fandom, don't really give a shit about anything. Oh, they put a trans person in this. Yay, I'm going to tweet about this, but I'm not actually going to support it. Oh my God, they use pronouns in this. This is so stunning and brave. I'm going to tweet about it, but I'm not going to actually support or care about this thing. And then maybe my favorite story of all these is this inverse article right here. The Acolyte isn't ruining Star Wars. You are! Lucasfilm's latest series of the franchise, most promising yet, but fans are too blinded by their hate to see it. Man, it's weird. I wonder who wrote this. Livy Scott, I wonder who this is. Oh, shit, okay. Okay, I got it. I think I understand now. Livy has previously written for Comic Book Resources and Nerdy POC, and currently divides her time between Slash Film, Blossom Magazine, and Screen Spec. She spends the majority of her time looking for ways to spotlight women of color in traditionally gate-kept genres, those she's grown up loving, and critiquing the disparities that marginalized filmmakers face. I wonder if your viewpoint might be a little different. I wonder if maybe you're one of the very few people out there that this show is actually made for. That's what this is all about. The Acolyte from the beginning. All of the cast and crew interviews, the entire premise of the series, from the writer's room to the people behind the camera and in front of the camera. The focus has been diversity representation. Not who can deliver us the best Star Wars show, not who can do the best job honoring George Lucas, not who can give Star Wars fans what they want, what they're craving. No, instead, it's about pushing an agenda. And the fact that you would claim that, right, that it can't possibly be Lucasfilm, it can't possibly be the creators that are ruining Star Wars, that have ruined Star Wars. You're the problem. What, the fans? The fans that have been around decades and decades and decades. Those are the fans. You're the fucking problem because you're upset that Star Wars is being used as a vehicle for someone's agenda. That Star Wars is not being used as a vehicle to tell compelling stories. Instead, it's being used by activists, been hijacked by activists to promote their agenda and their worldview. That is crystal clear. That was one of the biggest problems with the Acolyte's marketing campaign and media press tour, because it was blatantly obvious to everyone with who they hired and why they hired them and what they talked about at places like Star Wars Celebration, showing that they really had no care for Star Wars at all. And instead, it was all about the agenda. And that's coming through in the show itself. That's why people hate it. And you know what? Are there people out there, this 26%, are there some people that probably didn't watch it and just gave it a 1 star because they're mad? There probably are. I even went through a video where I showed a couple people that maybe they did create their account just to give a bad review to the Acolyte. I'm sure there's a couple out there. You know what's also out there? The very same thing happening for people giving it a 5-star review just because it was made by a lesbian, just because it's got so much diversity. We proved that in an earlier video as well. I'll link that in the pinned comment below so you guys can see that. All these people bitching about, oh, it's just review bombing, when review boosting is happening as well if you're going to take it by that metric. The reality is that they don't want to accept that although a handful of them here or there, 5 stars or 1 stars, probably from people that are just angry or just want to promote something, but the reality is, this is the way most people feel. The general Star Wars fan base. They didn't like what they saw, and a lot of them didn't even bother watching the lowest rated Star Wars show in history. Not just by audience score, but also by people that actually tuned in. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.